Hello, this is Dr. Heidi Horsley, Executive Director for the Open to Hope Foundation, and I'm here today with a good friend, Stephen Stott, and we are both social workers, and we both graduated from Columbia University, and we both work in the grief and loss world, and we want to dedicate this YouTube to all of those that died in the Orlando massacre. As Stephen's shirt says, we are Orlando, and this is for you and all the families out there that had a loss. And Stephen, I want to talk today about your own journey after your sister died and how that relates to what happened in Orlando.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest parts is the education aspect of being a part of the LGBT community, and more so for those who are unaccepting of it. And for those who do accept it, it kind of parallels with grief, because there's a lot of things that people say about grief and loss that hurt, and there's a lot of things that people say about being a part of the LGBT community hurts, because when they say that, things are better, my heart goes out to those who are in communities where it's not accepted, and it takes a while for them to find that hope.
Well, and I know for you, Stephen, and you've shared this journey with me, you actually came out as being gay, as a gay man, to your sister while you guys were driving in the car, and shortly after that, you guys got in a car wreck and she died.
Yeah. My sexuality has been a big part of my grief journey, because to me, my sexuality was a loss of identity, and I knew around the age of 8 that I felt different towards, people, and I didn't know what it was. And eventually I understood it, but because I didn't see it in my peers, or I wasn't educated about it, or I had no community, I kind of stayed closeted until I went on a trip with my sister when she was teaching a NCA camp, and she said, "Mom is very worried about you, and she just wants to know if everything's okay." And she didn't come out and ask me if I was gay. She just said, "Do you like girls?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Do you like boys?" And I said, "Yes." And that was literally the end of the conversation.
I love the way she asked you.
Yeah, and it's very subtle, and she asked, and that's the thing that I think people struggle with is, do you ask someone if you think they are gay, lesbian, bi, or transgender? And sometimes it is, and you have to be able to allow yourself to not be afraid. It's a question. Some people might get offended, some people might not. But I think the biggest part is until people find themselves, it's a big gray area, because you don't know who you are, because you fear being it, because people might not accept you, and that's the fear is those who don't accept you are going to be more hurtful than those who do.
So those that are grieving out there and also are gay and haven't come out yet, what advice or what words of wisdom or what would you tell them basically?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I found, I watched a clip of someone talking, and the guy basically said, "Stay safe." And what he meant by that is, if you know that your parents aren't going to accept you, to kind of wait to tell them until you have the ability to kind of live on your own, or if you have friends that you can trust, tell them first, so that if something happens with your family, that you have someone that you can go to that might be able to give you a place to stay if you get kicked out. But I think the biggest part is when you tell people, you have to be able to allow them to react how they react, because everyone's going to take it differently. And you have to allow them to be able to process what's been told to them. So that might take a couple days, it might take a couple years, you never know, but hopefully they find that.
Okay, Stephen, so the last thing I want to say, I think this is such an important topic, and the last thing I want to say is, if you're out there, if you feel alone, if you feel like nobody understands, please go to the Sounds of the Sibling Compassionate Friends Facebook page. We just want to say that we are Orlando. Thank you, and our hearts go out to you. This is Dr. Heidi Horsley and Stephen Stott. If you've lost hope, please lean on ours. Thank you.